Okay, well, welcome back everyone to another episode of the Health Made Simple show. I'm here today with our host, Dr. Bart Precourt, who has been a healthcare practitioner for over 20 years, practicing a range of modalities, including chiropractic, acupuncture, kinesiology, functional nutrition and supplementation, and lab testing, all out of his clinic Balanced Health Studio in Seagrove Beach, Florida, as well as virtually all around the world. He's also the founder of the Health Edge program, which is a cutting-edge health program for entrepreneurs and executives wanting to take their health to the next level. And he's worked with athletes and celebrities all around the world. So we are so grateful that you come and answer our questions every week here on the show. So we're going to dive into, we've got another load of awesome questions again. We're going to dive into that in just a minute. But first, you've got some clinical insight again to share with us from the week.
Yeah, so really cool experience today. And again, just a little, I guess, clinical insight. These are things that I guess best way to describe half of these that I kind of share is that the things I keep learning or like keep, putting me in awe or like, just like these moments in practice, even at 25 years now that I still get impressed. I still learn the best that I can. And so today, I had I want to say a young lady. I like to refer everyone as young. She's 76 years young. And I've seen her on and off for about the last 7 years. She has a residence in the North, and then she comes down here for a couple, like 5-6 months out of the year. And anyway, so I see her today and I'm like, what'd you do? And because when I saw her, she clearly she'd lost a fair amount of weight. And you always have to be careful because you never know why. Sometimes people lose weight, but I felt like this was a good thing. And she says, I lost 35 pounds. And I was like, holy moly. So, and just to put that in, in context, 76 years old. And I saw her about a year ago. So she lost this weight in about a year. So, of course I'm like, well, what'd you do? Right. And it was so fascinating to hear what she did. And she did it all on her own. She didn't seek out help or anything like that, and she's become smart, she might even be listening tonight. So she's staying on top of things, but didn't have a coach or anything like that. So I want to share these things. So it's pretty cool. So the first thing that she did is she just changed she went from eating off a plate to eating out of a bowl.
Yeah. Awesome. So smaller
portion
size, right?
Yeah. Portion size is something that plagues us all. So this
is my gosh. And in your country, when we first moved back to Australia, my husband was really sad. He's like, where's the rest of my food? He's like, I usually get 1.5 meals. And now Karen can eat her whole meal. Where's the rest of my food? Because your portion sizes are massive.
Absolutely massive. And if they're not massive, we're going to complain that we're getting ripped off.
Yes.
So that was pretty cool. And I was like, yeah, it's a good reminder that portion size and just tackling that would be significant for most of us, especially us coming right after Thanksgiving. So she went from plate to bowl. And the way she described this to me is that she only did one change at a time. And I like that because it was really, she bit off as much as she can chew, literally. So the second thing is that she decided that she would no longer have desserts. And this is pretty significant because I know that, I grew up when, after dinner, we often had a dessert or that would be a big thing. We didn't have one every night, but maybe on the weekends or something like that. So she cut out desserts. And then when she tackled getting the desserts, she then went to her version of a low carbohydrate, no sugar. And so without prying too much, I was like, so what did you do for the low carb? And she basically cut two things out. She cut out bread and pasta. That was her version of low carb, no carb. And I think it got better over time and now I was like, wow, that's fantastic. And then she's like, but I only did it 5 days a week. Weekdays, she had no dessert, ate out of a bowl, low carb, and that was 5 days a week. And then on the weekend, she just let whatever happen. And then what she found, and this is the most fascinating part, or one of the most fascinating parts, as she went, she said she no longer craved the carbs or the sugar or the dessert, in that she found that her taste buds had significantly changed, because when she went low carb, she did say that she really went to just eating real food. And she decided, she decided that every week she was going to try a new food.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So like a new fruit or a new vegetable or something. And she said that her taste buds, so the weekend, she wasn't like just killing it, like, like just like eating bread and pasta and cake all day long. She no longer wanted that.
Yeah.
And she just started, because she'd woken up her taste buds. And this is so significant, because when you start to supply new foods, your body wakes up again. We wake up those digestive receptors. And so that's why variety is such an important thing, especially within the bitter family. So, I was just so proud of her. And then we had a conversation just about, like, she literally has changed by losing at the age of 76, losing 35 pounds. She has changed the trajectory of her life.
Yeah.
And no doubt about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we talked about it, that she's had less pain in her spine. She's had less pain in her knees, like all the things that are true quality of life, because she gave up dessert. She gave up some bread. So, that's
I love it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that she started, she started at 75. She's 76 now. She started at 75, because I feel like a lot of people think like, oh, I'm too old. It's too late. I've done damage for too long. I've done whatever. But the body it gets with the program if you can make some changes, no matter how old you are.
Yeah, 100%. And that's really why I wanted to share that as much as anything tonight, that, there's no, like, the only time like you're done is when you give up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as long as you keep willing to, keep fighting and keep putting your best foot forward, it's awesome. So it's so proud of her. And I'm the only bummer in this conversation, and I think this has come up in some of our questions tonight, with a bit of a sad face and a bit of a different tone of the way she said the next thing, is she's like, I only wish my husband would do it.
Yeah.
And like that changed the whole conversation.
It's tricky.
Yeah. Because I asked about him as well. And I said, well, how's he doing? And she's like, well, not so good. Arthritis and knee problems and back problems. So moving into, and granted, he's in the 70s too, and these things happen, but definitely moving in the polar opposite directions. One's starting to take care and thrive a little bit more, and one's heading the other direction. So hopefully maybe he'll catch on and just start kind of like, follow the lead there.
Yeah. Because as she does more and more of these things, she also, potentially she wants to be more active. She wants to do more things. Like she'll have more energy maybe than when she was 60, depending on how she was when she was 60, but potentially. And, if it's difficult if he's not going to be able to keep up and do some of those things together.
Yeah, it's real. That's real, Karen. I was having a conversation with my staff today, that, and this is never a fun conversation, especially the way I'll probably say it right now, but it's real, that when someone becomes unwell, when they get sick, unfortunately, they become a burden for the rest of the family.
Yeah.
And I know how awful that sounds, but I do it to motivate as well, to say, listen, don't be that person, or not, at least not if you can avoid it. Yeah. And I see a lot of people not doing anything to avoid it. Just, well, nah, I don't want to, right. In this time of year, it comes up more than ever, because we just launched our cleanse, and, we got a ton of people that are super excited about it because they've done it before. And it's nice to know that there's a time in the near future, you're going to draw the line in the sand, and, and they get to hunker down again, and enjoy the holidays at the same time. Yet it's always interesting, because I have so many conversations with people where they'll be like, yeah, I'm all for it. And they're the healthy ones in the family, which is no surprise, right? And then it only was, and most of the time, and I'm not trying to pick on any group, but most of the time it's, I wish my husband would do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And unfortunately, as each year goes by, and this is the conversation I was having with my staff, I had an aha moment probably about 10 or 12 years ago. I was in my clinic where I had a really, really heart conversation with an older couple that came in. They were the parents of a dear friend of mine. And she sent them in to me and said, Bart, just please talk to my parents. They're going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And when I had the conversation with the parents, I said, I talked to him as if I listened, like I owed my friend something. And I said, listen, you guys are heading the wrong direction. You're both pre-diabetic. You're both retired. You're not moving anymore. Yeah. You're gaining weight. You're having more doctor's visits. You both have high blood pressure. I know where this ends, and this ends ugly. and it's not a fun ride. Anyways, I get a phone call from my friend later that day.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh boy, I overdid it.
Yeah.
And she said, I just want to thank you. And she just had a conversation with her mother and said, I just want to thank you for keeping it real with my mom and dad.
Yeah.
My mom has taken it to heart. Like, you said something that, resonated with her.
Oh,
And
yeah.
sure enough, as the years went by, Karen, so the mom in this situation, literally now to this day, and this is 10 years ago, she's active 7 days a week.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she does like Zumba, all this. It's like the cutest thing in the world. She
Yeah,
does like
that's amazing.
Zumba and like yoga.
That's
And
so
she's
great.
she's got her dance classes and all this kind of stuff. It's the greatest thing. And the husband didn't change his ways. He's no longer with us. It was, And the couple of years that, and she would say it all the time. She, it was real. It was one of those interesting things. Like, she decided that she wanted to be healthy. She wanted to live. Yeah. And she knew that there was a lot of years ahead of her. I had leverage, especially on her daughter, who had asked me to come see them, was about to have babies.
Oh, yeah.
So I was able to use the grandkids as leverage.
It's a real, like playing with your grandkids is amazing, but they're high energy. Like, if you can run around and, actually do things with them, it's amazing.
Yeah. So I literally use them as leverage, saying things like, are you going to be the grandmother who can't play with their kids, who can't bring them to the park, who can't take them for the day because you can't, like, they're going to knock you over? Or are you going to be the fun grandma? Yeah. Like, take them and let the parents go on vacation and that kind of stuff. And, and so during those couple of years when she really took off with her health and she started eating better and she would drop like 10 pounds every year. It was just beautiful to watch. And she's still super active now and take care of all the kids. And now they're like 10 years old and all this stuff. It's wild. Yeah. But for a couple of years, she became, an in-house nurse, and it was hard. Yeah. It was hard. It was very, very hard. And listen, we all going to have our moments, but if we can make it easier on the rest of the family, I think that would be, something that we think about and have conversations about, because, I see a lot of people right now that the one part of the family is super participating in their health and their well-being, and they're kind of investing in the next half of their life. And maybe the other half of the other part of the spouse or whatever is just not investing in their future, and they're living in that short term, like, I want to feel good, like, I just, I'd rather have this piece of cake now than think about my future.
I'll have that beer. So what can you do? Like, if your partner's habits, don't align with yours, they're are impacting your life, like, are there anything you can do? What are some things you can do?
I've given this conversation a lot of thought, and especially over these last 2 years, it just I'm still amazed right now when I see people that aren't taking any measures about, like, the virus and stuff like that. So, like, and I'm like, well, what does it take? What does it take to, like, shake someone up and, like, get them to, to take action on their health? And unfortunately, for most people, it takes a lot of pain, and I don't know that it's going to take pain to do it. But I think this, if I was going to have a consult with a group tomorrow, and which I will on Thursday, I'll have couples in my consults, the virtual consults. My conversation is going to be about, y'all need to have a conversation at home and communicate about your desires, wishes, and goals for your personal health. Yeah. And have that open conversation with each other, because you're having it to some degree about your children. You're having it to some degree about your finances, about retirement. So I don't think it's something that we, in general, have enough conversations with each other about. I think there's a lot of assumptions made. Yeah. Like, well, I can't do that, they're not going to change, but maybe they would. And maybe there's just a couple obstacles in the way. Maybe it's just, man, what if we just, I don't know, like, maybe if we just knew the recipes, or we had a service, and there's so many good services now that provide and, and deliver foods and stuff like that. So I think that part of it, Karen, I think there's a lot of other ways. The simplest answer is you just lead by example, but unfortunately it could take too long. Yeah. I don't think that any one of us should bear the responsibility to be the other person's nutritionist. I don't think any one of us should bear the responsibility of being the other person's nurse. We're there out of love, and care and support, but we shouldn't bear the responsibility of convincing or changing anybody.
Yeah.
But I do believe if people had honest moments and had honest conversations with their spouses, with their children, with their family, say, hey, listen, these are my goals. Can you guys help me?
Yeah.
And if if my wife came to me and said, hey, listen, I need help. I need you to stop bringing those peanut butter balls home. Is
that what you say back? Hey, I need help.
Yeah. Maybe that's really what it is. Yeah. I think in different perspective versus just making it about the peanut butter balls, when we make it just about the one beer, when we make it about the loaf of bread, about the pizza, whatever it may be, it's not enough. It's not enough fuel. Just like I was able to use the grandkids. I think having that real conversation of the why behind it and make it personal. And then I think we'd see a higher level of support and a team effort moving forward.
Especially coming from that angle and having a discussion as opposed to perhaps just having a go at someone, or they're having a beer. That's when you decide to tell them that's not a good idea, or because I'm sure it frustrates some of the maybe this woman, it frustrates them. But if you're going to get frustrated at someone who's sitting there having a beer, they're not going to want to not have the beer, right? Anybody who feels attacked is going to be defensive potentially.
Yeah, and I think that's for a lot of us. I think our initial approach when we're trying to help other people is don't do this and don't do that and don't do this, and it comes from the right place, but it's very rarely is it going to be effective.
Not a very effective, no.
Not very effective. So I think the answer to that question is, I think, creating a health plan, quite frankly, with your spouse, with your family, and that then, so you have a desired outcome. So why you're taking the actions to move you closer to that outcome. So it'd be no different than someone turning around and saying, hey, we can't buy a new car every week. Why not? Because we're not going to be able to retire. I don't know, something like that, right?
Yeah, totally.
So if your desired
That's
outcome.
A thing, you can say that, not a new car each week.
I think you could say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
but no, for sure. And I mean, maybe even, kind of, if it is your spouse, can you treat it like you're trying to get a kid to eat some vegetables? Can you make it fun, or try to see how you incorporate it in a different way, or think about it as if you're trying to I don't know, you might have done making your children eat healthy food.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a strategy, because I think a lot of people who think about, I got to start eating healthy now, they think it's going to suck. And
they think it's going to suck right away. It's so negative. All they think is, but I can't have my whatever. And I don't realize that taste buds will change. You won't even feel like it later. Yeah.
And it's and that, especially nowadays, it's quite frankly, it's so easy to eat healthy and to eat yummy. Because if it wasn't, I probably wouldn't be doing it.
There weren't great tasting peanut butter balls at your disposal. Yeah,
good grass-fed burgers or whatever. Yeah,
awesome, love it.
Yeah, so that's my clinical insight. And I think that to that question, how could you help someone in your family move forward, it'd be have a real conversation with them and don't hold back. Just like I didn't hold back with my couple patients that and the mom really jumped into it. And even if you have to use leverage, ladies, you got leverage, FYI.
I love it. No, I love it. It's a good conversation to have. That's a real thing, especially as you said, there might be people coming up doing the cleanse. Our cleanse is coming up in January. Just really quickly, do you want to give we're starting January 3rd?
Yeah, January 3rd kicking off. So that'll be really the first Monday right after all the holidays. So it is it's so cool because we have so many people that are already returning and excited for it. And I think it also takes a little pressure off of trying to be perfect through the holidays. And then again, Karen, it is that time, and I'm really looking forward to myself, is when we get to draw the line in the sand and hunker down and really take the opportunity to, do our best and try to move forward and not just stop doing the bad. And that's probably the biggest message when I talk to people, saying, listen, it's one thing just stopping the bad. You weren't supposed to eat bad anyways. but rehabilitating and rehabbing your body. And that's what this cleanse is really all about. That's where it takes it to a whole nother level. So yes, we'll be eating, like clean, no doubt. First 10 days, I really have everyone acting like they're vegetarian. I take all the animal proteins out and nobody dies. I promise. Like nobody, I don't know how long we've been doing this.
Nobody loses muscle.
No one loses muscle. Everyone's going to be just fine. You still get plenty of proteins in your powders. You make like a shake or two a day and usually have a meal a day. So it's not a starvation diet whatsoever. Probably the magic is in the supplements, because that's where the rehabilitation happens for the pancreas, gallbladder, liver, kidney, spleen, stomach, lymph. And that is what really is going to put an emphasis on how our overall metabolic system works. So food, no doubt, changing our food is always important, making sure we're putting the right things in. But if that's all we do to kind of move our, trying to move our needle, it just moves a lot slower. So January 3rd, we'll kick it off. And I think one of the things that makes it so successful is the tribe. Like, I go live. So I kind of coach through the whole thing.
Yeah, we've got a question here. Will we meet on a regular basis during the cleanse?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll meet starting that Monday the 3rd. I'll kick it off, and that'll be like all the detailed instructions. And then we post that on the Facebook page. There'll be a note for those of you listening and you've been on before. It's a new Facebook page every year. So then we'll put the recipes, we'll put the recording of how and what to do, all of that good stuff. And I'll go on there every Monday. And
as a live chat like this, but we're going to have all your faces on. You can ask your questions live and chat to us, right?
Yeah. And it's interesting every year. It's so interesting how just every year there's just like a different vibe to, last year we were in the heart of like COVID, like, like all this stuff. And there's something like that going on this year too, but whatever. So I'll go live through it. And it's just, man, I think it's just easier when you have a whole bunch, even if you're not sitting there at the table with them, but just knowing a lot of other people and kind of keeps your attention.
You're all doing it together.
Yeah. So awesome. It's been nice. And there'll be, if you're local, there'll be literally, if you're local this year, like we just keep getting better with it. Now that we have Prema, we'll not only have, opportunity for the smoothies and all that stuff be done, but we're working on it. I can't promise, but we're working on it right now to have like meal plans.
Yeah.
Like you could just come and pick up, like give me, what I need for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So we're working on it. My team is working on it now. I shouldn't say my team is. I definitely I agree that that's a great thing. If we can pull it off, it'll be awesome.
Yeah. We've got another question on it here. Can you introduce some new exercises?
Interesting. Let me put that on the radar. I think I could. I think I can do that.
We can maybe talk about some new things or give them some new ideas.
Yeah. And because that person must have participated with us in the Level Up Challenge.
Yes. We've got Lisa and Eric.
Yeah, because that's the last time we did that. But there's definitely been some stuff in my personal routine that I've been incorporating, which has been pretty cool. So I'll try to do it where we don't need any equipment, because that's always the best. So I'll put that on the radar.
Okay, awesome. And so guys, if you want to register, we've got an early bird special still going at the moment. It's $100 off. You need to go across to drbartcleanse.com. So I've got it. So bartcleanse.com. I've got the links in the chat for you guys to register, but register as soon as possible, because then you get all your supplements on time, right? Like we want to be able to ship everything out to you as early as possible. Then we miss all the Christmas, all the Christmas shipping rush.
Yeah, absolutely. Because this year I think it's gonna be a little wild card on, on that whole shipping world. So I would just say if you're in, take advantage of the early bird special, do your thing. So if you guys listen to this tomorrow or something like that, just call the studio or click onto the link, drbartcleanse.com, and just get it rolling. It'd be a good Christmas gift too.
It would be a good Christmas gift too. We just got another question here. Is there, what about if you're on other medications? Can you still do the cleanse? Is there anybody who can't do the cleanse?
So the only people that I would say that if you're on medications, the answer is always make sure you check with your doctor. If I happen to be your doctor, make sure we have a conversation just about that. It's a whole food cleanse. So if you can eat food, you can be on the cleanse. I typically, though, I don't have my pregnant mommies on it. Okay. Post-pregnancy, full blown, I'm all for it. But I don't have my moms on it. So that would be the only scenario. I do a couple versions of it for the moms. I don't want any kind of like pretty much just during pregnancy. I prefer there not to be any
Like
food
restriction.
restrictions. Yeah.
Like, as much food as not as much, but kind of like you don't want them to, you want
So
them
we want
to
to
eat
be
whatever
clean.
food they need.
Precisely. I don't want there to be like a guideline or anything like that. But other than that, Karen, like, so the keys here it's definitely detox, it's rehab, but probably the most significant reason there's going to have such an impact on weight loss and on feeling good and arthritis and hot flashes, especially those big guys there, is because it's blood sugar management. So there's a couple of supplements that are very specifically will help all of us just get better at blood sugar management. And really what that means is how much insulin the pancreas. So the pancreas gets overworked, et cetera. So we're going to be taking some supplements that are going to nurture things like the pancreas and the liver and the gallbladder. So other than that, and I've got the question before, like, is it good if you have diabetes or pre-diabetes? Yes. Like, so yes. And sometimes I'll have some people that are on blood pressure medications and they go on the cleanse and all of a sudden their blood pressure lowers too much. And it's not a bad thing. It just means you're going to have to either just get with your doctor or recognize yourself. You're on too much blood pressure for when you're clean. Blood pressure medications when you're clean. And that does happen. It's when you clean yourself up, your blood pressure goes down. That's almost always.
Yeah, for sure. What's too low for blood pressure?
Yeah, if it dropped, like if one, you want to know what your normal is, but if the top number starts getting under 90, that's probably getting on the lower side. If the bottom number gets under 50 or really under 60, and that's let's just say you're normally 120 over 80. If it drops below that, then you got to make some adjustments. And the goal would not be to go back to eating junk, right? Like the goal would, in theory, be to maybe I don't need all these medications. And those are the cool side effects that happen sometimes, that we see people come off some of that stuff because they just, wow, I got healthier, got cleaner, and this stuff works. Yeah.
Totally, right? It's awesome side effect. We got another question here. I will be on my last 3 weeks of the stealth protocol. Any problems with doing the cleanse?
No, in fact, it's for many of us, we do it coincide. And I'm not telling anyone else to need to do. So my wife and I, we start our self protocol every year at the same time we start the cleanse.
Same time as the cleanse. Okay.
Yeah. One won't interfere with the other. And in fact, I would probably say they're supportive of each other.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right, cool. Okay, cool. And if you guys have any other cleanse questions, obviously just let us know, and then we kick off next year. All right, so let's move on to the next question here we have. My question is in regards to intermittent fasting. Does putting collagen in my black coffee break my fast? Thank you, Dr. Bart, for this wonderful weekly show.
Well, you're welcome. And thank you for listening or participating each week. That's awesome. So here's the whole thing about intermittent fasting. So technically anything could break your fast, but I don't want you to worry about that. My simple answer is no. That's my simple answer. Now, if you read enough blogs and stuff like that, people are like, oh, if anything changes your blood sugar, then it breaks your fast. But it's okay if our fast gets broken a little bit, meaning your blood sugar goes up, a couple points and drops right back down. That's because the overall idea, if all you're doing is black coffee, I'd tell you to add a little fat to that, like a little MCT oil, a little butter or something like that, just so it's easier on your brain. And you add collagen, and that allows you to go 14 hours, 15 hours, 16 hours without eating. Like, hallelujah. The benefits that you're doing at that point are massive, absolutely massive, especially if that helps you sustain that as a lifestyle habit. So 100%, I'm all for it. That's part of what I put in my coffee every morning. I do black coffee I use MCT oil, a little butter, and a little collagen. And so how do you really, really know, Karen? The answer is the only way you know, it's on an individual basis, if you actually check your blood sugar. Prick your finger and you have a blood glucose monitor. And I've done all that. And the interesting thing I find is that some days it would, some days it wouldn't. But the key was that it would never spike it up high and keep it up. It would be momentarily and drop it right back down. And then the benefits, and most of us are going to benefit the maximum benefit, or the best benefit is going to be to our gut health. And if you've got collagen every single morning in your coffee, and you're
awesome.
going 6, 14, 15, 12 hours without eating, man, double win. So absolutely keep doing it. Great. And no, and it doesn't bother it. Just keep doing it.
Yeah. Awesome. We got a question in Facebook here saying somebody like what to do if they want to book in with a one-on-one consultation with you.
So real simple. And maybe Karen, you could put a link. They would call the office.
Yeah.
And we set up a virtual consult like this. They would send the paperwork, all via email, et cetera. And if you have any labs or any records you want me to review, we can do that. And if you want to run labs, we can send you those lab requisites as well. So real simple. It's really just call the office and they'll talk you through, if you need to, send us labs or how to do any of that kind of stuff. And then we get on a call just like this, and we block out a fair amount of time. And again, it's really turned into one of my favorite ways to communicate with my clients, because I feel like it's taken to a whole nother level of like getting the big picture of things, because inevitably in an office, there's always some level of distraction. So I've really enjoyed this side effect of COVID. Yeah.
Yeah. That's been one good thing. Awesome. All right. Yeah. I put the link into Facebook for you, Sonia, to book in, and also in the chat here. Another question here on your MCT oil. What brand of MCT oil is best?
My wife's listening. Maybe she'll run up the one we use. I really just look for an organic one. And maybe that's a medium chain triglycerides. Oh, there's a lot of good ones out of there. So just like most things, I shoot for whatever's organic. We vetted a couple of the companies. So we use what we use here in our house is the same thing as Prima. So I forget the brand of it. But there's a lot of good companies out there that are producing MCT oil. There's a lot of big brands out there that are not organic. And my preference would be to stick to the organic ones. Oh boy.
Oh, look at that. Kelly, you're amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. So I'll just show it here. This is Nature's Way.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. Organic MCT oil, and kind of passes all the it's 100%, it's a no filter and all that kind of stuff. So so just find a good oil, a good organic one. Like I said, there's some of the bigger brands that do a little bit more, and I've nothing against them yet. They're not organic, and we just lean in the direction of organic.
Follow-up question to that is, what is the stealth protocol?
Stealth protocol it's a stealth pathogen protocol is really what it is. And it's a protocol we use where we very strategically use four different herb groups to attack all of things like all the stealth pathogens, viruses, Epstein-Barr virus specifically. What else? Like parasites, all of these different things that bury and hide within the body. So for example, Epstein-Barr, we call that a stealth pathogen, and there's a lot of them. This is just one of the ones we can test for. Stealth pathogens literally know how to hide from our white blood cells, and they're very difficult to test and find them active because they don't circulate in the blood. They hide in the tissues, and they wreak havoc on human beings, especially something like Epstein-Barr, because they come out, they go away, they come out, they go away. So the self-pathogen protocol, it's not a lot we use. We'll just say it's 4 different things, but the technique that we use is called a pulse dosing technique over 90 days. So we use 2 herbs for 4 days. And they go in there and they basically wake up, kick off, and try to kill off. And then those pathogens, they say, oh man, this is a bad idea. And they go hide. And then we pull those herbs out and introduce 2 different types of herbs. So that protocol right there has given us such amazing benefits. Epstein-Barr is one of those ones, even part of Lyme and all those different ones have been so tricky over the years. And now we feel like we've got it dialed in. And if you've ever had Epstein-Barr, if you've ever had mono, you definitely have Epstein-Barr. But like my wife and I, we've never had mono per se, but we both test super, super high in the antibodies. And that's all I need to know clinically is if you have those antibodies, you've got Epstein-Barr.
You've had it.
Yeah. And then they lead the way to then for your body to be very vulnerable for different parasites and helminths and all those other boogly wooglies that we don't even want to talk about.
And if somebody wants to do that with you, just get a consultation, right? Need to have a chat?
Not necessarily. If you know
Okay.
I'm okay to, it's safe. So like if you know you want to do a kind of clearing out like that, and you can do it. I don't even care if you change your diet on that one. I'm always going to encourage you to eat clean. But the way that they're set up is that they will get their job done with or without any other programs.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So they can just reach out to the office.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they do want to reach out to the office, because what my team will do is, once you have the stealth protocol, and like you're going to start on Monday the 3rd, they will actually email you a calendar so you can keep track of your 4 days on, 10 days off. And they'll tell you what herbs to do the 4 days and what herbs to do the 10 days. And it is an important strategy that we use to do it, especially with these stealth pathogens.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right, cool. Next question we've got here. What do you do, or what can you do if you seriously don't like vegetables, like gagging every time you eat them? It's a serious aversion.
Well, that sounds like me when I was young.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, totally.
Wouldn't eat vegetables?
Not at all.
I've always not minded vegetables. It's not yeah. Broccoli's awesome. Always like broccoli. Raw cabbage I used to eat as a kid.
Yeah. I'll eat them now. Like I love them all now. But when I was a kid, man, I wouldn't do anything. So I would say a couple of things. And it almost in the same conversation that we're having earlier about communicating. So let's just say that you don't like them, whatever. You got to create a strategy. Yeah. Well, there's two. I guess the best answer is this. There's two things. One, if you're not getting them in, you got to supplement them. Easy breezy. Yeah. In fact, Karen, we have a supplement for the non-vegetable eaters.
Okay.
It's called SP Greens. You take 3 of them, and that's the equivalent of all the greens and the alkaloids and all of that stuff that you would get from vegetables. 3 of these little capsules is equivalent to what you need in any given day.
Now, is that letting people not eat vegetables though? We're yes. Answer is yes. Okay, cool.
The answer is kind of yes, but that is certainly not the strategy, because you still don't get all the fiber.
Yeah.
You can get fiber from other areas like fruit and stuff like that, but nonetheless. So I would say a couple of things. One, the person who doesn't like them doesn't like the way that they were introduced to them. And that's the way it was for me. Yeah. So there's ways that I used to be introduced to certain vegetables like spinach that I would never eat. But I'll eat spinach all day long in my salad and my smoothie. But when it's like cooked up, I don't like it. So sometimes we got to change the way and get a little creative. And the only way that that's going to happen is we have to attach a bigger why to it. Like, why would you even want to eat a vegetable over, that potato chip with your sandwich or potato chip with your dinner? So what else, if you're not eating vegetables, what are you eating? So the why, to be healthy, to be vital, to be strong in 10 years from today, to live a healthy, active life. Those are the questions that ultimately got to get answered, instead of this is bad, this is good. So I think you can supplement it if you are not eating vegetables because you don't like texture or something to that effect. And if parents listen out, so I usually only gave the SP Greens pills to parents where the kids grew up like me. Like the mom would just be like, I just can't have that fight every night. So I said, all right.
Well, Kelly's dropping some truth bombs in Facebook here, saying that you didn't eat vegetables until you met her.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of truth to that. Yeah, really. Yeah. So
we'll have to get her on and see how we'll have her teach us how to help people eat vegetables. Yeah. Hey.
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons, like women have a lot of leverage.
Yeah. Right? There you go, women.
So
use your leverage.
Yeah, use what leverage you have. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. All right, we've got another question here. Have you got any suggestions for a toe fungal infection?
Yeah, so treat it almost like a candida, so we believe it or not, I got to clean out the gut. So I'm gonna give you a couple of recommendations. Clean out the gut, something like apple cider vinegar every day, garlic daily, cleanse, Spanish black radish. And Spanish black radish is in. So people that are wondering, like, when I talk about Spanish black radish, one of my favorite things for like SIBO and gut dysbiosis, all that stuff. One of the magical parts of our cleanse in the powders is Spanish black radish.
In awesome. The actual cleanse powder, because you can take it as a supplement too if you want to.
But if you guys are whoever's asked the question, if they're doing the cleanse, it'll be in there. So, and then the other part is you can put apple cider vinegar on your toe every day.
Oh, like actually like pour it on.
Yeah, pour it
on. Like
on.
dab it on or whatever. Like have, okay.
Yeah, you could go as far as like you put a little soak a cotton ball and put a Band-Aid and wrap it around there and keep it on there for an hour or two. And that'll help change the pH of it so the more bacteria can grow.
Okay.
We'll see some success with that. I will ultimately say when you see fungal anything, toe fungus, fungus on the skin, anything like that, gut health, like 100%. It's all there's a correlation there. So get cleaner.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, speaking about getting cleaner, so I've got another question here. What is the best way to detox my liver?
So, we did a show on this. Do you remember? We did an entire show on it, and I'll try to sum the show up in like 3 sentences.
I'll see if I can find that episode for you guys too, so you can go back and listen to it.
And while you do that, I'll give you the lowdown on the liver. So, liver does like 3 phases of detox, and this is how the human body detoxes. And FYI, again, not to keep talking about the cleanse every time, but this is exactly what the cleanse does. I'm not a huge fan. I probably said it in that show. I'm not a huge fan of just like targeting an organ and then say, let's detox that organ, because especially the liver. So there's phase 1, your body has to be aware or elicit a response to a toxin. And in that response, it's either going to do one of 2 things. So it's going to try to make it more water soluble so your body can get rid of it, or it tries to break it down. And there's a lot of things that naturally can do this. You can get paint fumes and then you create a response, like a detox that's called cytochrome 450p. Your liver releases these enzymes, or you can have something like coffee.
Okay.
And that can help you detox. So, and then there's other things, of course, cruciferous vegetables. And that's really in phase 2. In that phase 2, your body then starts to conjugate it. It means it's going to break it down, bind it, and then it's going to start to move it out through the body. And then, so it's going to get a little bile, or it's going to use these different things that the body has. That's where it gets interesting. That's where you need the detox type things, the antioxidants in the body. Cruciferous vegetables is the number one thing. And so in our cleanse, when you have there's something called SP Complete, it's full of cruciferous vegetables. And again, back to the person who doesn't eat the vegetables, to detox, it is absolutely critical that we have vegetables. I know we can do it in other ways. You can get some different detox elements, even out of meat and stuff like that. But no doubt the best is going to be a cruciferous vegetable. So, and then last but not least, all that detoxification is going to take place either through the kidneys or through the intestines. So improving the health of those, and again, back to the cleanse, that's really what the cleanse is going to do. It's going to improve kidney function. We got to make sure we stay super hydrated, clog it up less. It's one of the reasons I take out especially red meat. It's not that it clogs up. It's just harder. It's harder for the body to break down. And if the liver and the gallbladder and pancreas are already a little sluggish, it's hard to truly detox without taking the time out. So liver detox, milk thistle, fantastic. CoQ10, fantastic, because it's an antioxidant. But ultimately, cleansing would be like the best way to do it. So you have something to bring things out of the body. And if you just want to take one herb on a regular basis to support liver function for detox and repair, it'd be milk thistle.
Okay, awesome. The milk thistle forte?
Correct. Yep. Yeah. And you don't have to take much of it. You would literally, if you just want to take it for maintenance, you do like 1 twice a day.
Okay. 1 twice a day. All right. Awesome. I think I've got all those links there. And I found our liver episode. It's episode 35. If you guys are listening on, you can listen on any of your podcast apps, or I've put the link to watch the video as well.
Yeah. And that we did a little deeper dive in that one.
We did. Yeah. I mean, we could, deep dive on all these topics, right? Like they could all be their own show. But I got a question here in the chat. So in addition to the adrenal tonic, what other supplements can be suggested for perimenopause? Specifically, heart palpitations and shortness of breath. Could this be due to low iron?
Typically, so perimenopause, there's a lot of things that are going on with the body. So I love that you're on adrenal tonics specifically because they're going through perimenopause. There's going to be a heavy emphasis on the adrenals. So yes, we want to support them, probably even more. I would add just real quickly, because there's a lot I want to cover here. Add Drenamine to that for your adrenal support. If you do Drenamine and do about 6 a day and you're doing your adrenal tonic, that'll be adequate adrenal support. The shortness of breath and what the heart palpitations are probably two different things.
Yeah.
The shortness of breath, sometimes when we don't have enough iron, we can become anemic and we don't have enough oxygen, and that could create that. So that's they're thinking the possibility there. My first thought is when I see the heart palpitations and the shortness of breath, I'm thinking there's probably some anxiety here. And when the hormones are bouncing around a lot, that is definitely consideration. So without having like going in depth here, that would be one thing I would consider. And listen, there's no shame in recognizing that you might have some anxiousness. And especially when your hormones are getting a little, if you're in perimenopause, your hormones are starting to become a little bit typically irregular, a little bit out of balance. On top of your adrenal tonic, I'd probably consider using ashwagandha forte.
Okay.
Which is just a stronger source of it, and that helps regulate the hypothalamus gland. And then,
and how many of those? What do you take?
I would do 3 a day, 3 times a day, and we can go strong. The beauty of that herb right there, Karen, we can go strong. Like we can go heavy. Like I've had some people 6 or 8 a day when they're staying wound up.
Yeah.
You can't break free of that. And especially if they got, it's still going on, they got, work or school or life or whatever it may be. The heart palpitations though, anytime I see heart palpitations, I'm immediately thinking that there's an electrolyte imbalance. So we want to address that too. I think it would be foolish for me not to say at least that most likely if you have those going on and you're in perimenopause, it'd behoove you to probably sit down with someone like myself that just understood this whole and really got some more of these details. Because it could be relatively simple or they could be simple either way, to really dial them in, because there's some other herbs that I would introduce at this point, but I would want to know more detail, especially for like heart palpitations. If there is some anxiousness and then it's causing that heart palpitation, there's some wonderful herbs like hawthorn is phenomenal, mother's wort, and I don't talk about those much here, but phenomenal for heart health. Yet we want to make sure we're also not anemic. So the iron thing is real. Females, you've been, for the most part, you've been, bleeding most of your lives. And most women are borderline anemic.
Yeah. For sure.
And if there's and then just to give an example, so if there's a little bit of a gut issue here too, then there's a good chance that we have other depletions in other minerals and stuff, whether it be like potassium or chloride or magnesium or calcium, and those are all the other electrolytes. So I would support the adrenals. Absolutely would be a positive first step to give it some Drenamine, and I'll do about 6 a day there. And then after that, if there's some angst in there, anxiousness, you feel that is combining with that shortness of breath and heart palpitation, ashwagandha forte, which is really a stronger dose and a minimum of 1-3 times a day, and you could double that if need be. But I think the best answer would be probably consider sitting down with someone like myself who understands that whole phase of perimenopause and where you want to go after it. Perimenopause can last 10, 12, 15 years. I know that sounds crazy, yet you can be in it for, it can be a long ride, and, and it's a moving target. So to kind of get a dialed in is probably a smart choice.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, cool. Okay. Next question here. Do you have any tips on staying rooted during a move?
Yeah. So, it's interesting. So, moving disrupts our chi more than people think. So we're here in Florida.
Oh my gosh, I move so much. This is an
so
interesting question.
This is pretty cool topic to talk about, because we don't think much about moving, especially when people move to Florida. They're always, everyone's like, I'm moving to paradise. And then they get here and they're like, just a little bit disheveled.
Yeah.
And so I'll give you my analogy about moving and why it's so important that we do pay attention to getting ourselves rerouted. And I'll give you my answers for this. Imagine that you're just like this beautiful, ripe tomato plant, and you're in Australia, and you're going to move here to the best state in the country, Florida. And
got it.
Yes, where the home of freedom lives.
Yes,
freedom lives.
I'm coming. Yeah.
So you take this beautiful ripe tomato plant, and you pluck it out of the ground, Okay. And then you bring it over to the best state in the country and you plop it in our soil here in Florida. And even though it's the best state in the country and it's got phenomenal soil and all the above, the roots aren't really rooted yet.
Yeah.
And you are unstable, even though you're healthy and you got these beautiful red tomatoes and all that kind of stuff, you're unstable. But with each and every day, you will get a little bit more rooted. And this is a really, in Chinese medicine, this is the philosophy. There's three primary things that cause disruption in life. And one is the inability to trade, that's finances. It is the loss of a loved one or loss in general. So that you, and then moving. That's the top three things. So moving being one of the most significant things that disrupts human chi.
Oh,
But
yeah.
once we move, the faster we can get back into rhythm. So here's the answers to this. One, get your bedroom done first.
Okay.
Okay. If you can mimic the same way, like if you had, your head on the north and south and your new bedroom and all that stuff, get that situation, make that, and you could say the same thing about your kitchen as well. The places you're going to spend the most time, get them clutter free, get used to it immediately. Get back all your other rhythms. If you walk the dog, if you go to the church, if you do, get into rhythm and get back into that circadian rhythm as absolute fast as you can. And embrace the change and don't make any other big decisions once you moved in because you're not grounded, and know that there's going to be some instability there. And I see it every single week here in Florida. People move in and they're a little disheveled, super healthy, super kind people, just out of balance, double guessing themselves, kind of question themselves. Did I make the right decision? Should I, it's a big move. Easy breezy. You just need time to get rooted. Yeah. And when we move, we need more time. That's it. Just a little bit of time.
Yeah, awesome. And maybe, having that mindset about it, do some people find it, like if you kind of think it's going to be easier, I'm sure it is a bit easier, right? Like if you have a bit more of an easy breezy mindset about it, it's potentially going to go a bit smoother.
Of course, anytime we're light about it in the mind, it always makes it easier in life. But I think it sneaks up on people.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it sneaks up because it's an energy thing. And it's not necessarily a thought process. It is literally, you're in a different place in the world. You go to bed and there's different energy everywhere. And I think we often discount the fact that there's different energy. Some people go to hotels and whatever, they just can't sleep. And it's because there's literally different energy. So I think just being privy to all that and know that we can adapt. Humans are awesome at adapting. That's why we've lived longer than anything else. We're still here. The dinosaurs are gone, et cetera. Just like the whole virus thing, right? We're still here. We're going to make it through this one as well, because we are really, really good at adapting. So wherever you are, you just need a little bit of time to get rerouted. So that tomato plant just goes back to being healthy.
Yeah, awesome. Well, speaking of, kind of obviously the virus touched into things, but any new strategies for this new variant? Any new thoughts? Obviously, that's all in our media at the moment.
Yeah. So I definitely have thoughts about it. And the thought is just, hey, listen, do what you've been doing. Hunker down, stay strong. I 100% expected that we would see another variant. I do not believe it's going to be any stronger. I think that's already the news out there. I haven't looked too far into it. It's more about right now of instead of looking into it, look into what you're doing.
Take the focus away to what you can do.
Yeah. And I think the people that are watching this or are going to watch this at some point will understand this. Listen, you have to every day check how grounded you are in your beliefs and in your goals and your values and who you are, and the message you're putting out to the rest of the world. There's always something to be scared of. But you don't have to be scared of everything. And if you have hunkered down, you've been practicing health, right on. We will just continue to practice health and continue to get stronger. The strategies we have now the health strategies are similar to when we started, COVID 2 years ago, but they're just better. And each and every month, like we just learn more and more on how to adapt to these things. So nothing new. If there is, I will be the first to share with everyone the best that I can. But because I haven't heard anything about, I'll give an example. When it came out, what was the last one? The Delta variant?
Yeah.
They were very specific about this is the thing, and this is why we consider it more, like transmissible or whatever, because it had more of an affinity to different tissue and stuff like that. Right? I haven't heard any of that. And that's what I'll be looking for on a clinical level of like, what tissue, organ, gland is it going to affect? Why is it affecting it more now than it did before? So when I have that information, we will then just create another strategy. Like we used, some different herbs to help increase the mucosal lining in the throat, in our sinuses to make us a little bit stronger. So if that time comes, but in the meantime, our strategy, as health warriors or superhuman beings, our strategy is to hunker down, get stronger, do what we're doing even better. And, because we're going to be tested. And this is not, we said this a while ago, right? We've talked about this for almost 2 years now. We're going to keep getting tested. Our patience will get tested. Our beliefs will get tested. Your faith will get tested. Like every little bit will be poked and poked and poked. And fear is a beast. But we're superhumans, so we can handle
it. Love it. Awesome. Yes, we can. And especially if we keep our tribe around us that all believe that we can, right?
And with all that, I'm still saying, be smart. I am not saying by any means of acting like there's not a virus. That is not. No. Be smart. And be smart meaning like do anything and everything you can to become the strongest, healthiest human being that you can be.
Yeah. Awesome. Love it. Well, that moves us on to our last question. So out of everything we've talked about, what's our one action that listeners are going to take to move them towards their goal of becoming superhuman?
I would say the one action I think that would just be a good one. Communicate with your family about your health plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And sign up for the cleanse because we want you to do it with us.
Boom. Yeah. Boom. You got it.
Love it. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in this week. We will be back same time, same place next week for another episode of the Health Made Simple show.
Appreciate you all. Keep doing your thing. Keep sharing out. Keep spreading love. And of course, we're going to take deliberate action for our mind, our body, overall wellness. Y'all be awesome.